What you just saw right there was the photo that I submitted back in 2015 in order to win a copy of Breach and Clear from Limited Run Games. Welcome back, everybody. If you watched my previous Vita collection video, you'll know the story of why I'm showing that photo, but I wasn't able to show it in the previous video. And if not, you're welcome to go check out that part 1 of the Vita collection. It should be linked up here, because it covers the first half of my Vita collection, actually maybe a little more than the first half of my Vita collection, and shares the story about where that picture came from. So, I'm going to just dive right in. We're going to get into the back half of my Vita collection. Tons of great games in here, and hopefully you'll get some good recommendations. Alright, first up we have One Way Heroics by Spike Chunsoft. Bit of a retro-looking, I think a little bit more arcadey kind of RPG, but I have not checked that one out. Operation Abyss, New Tokyo Legacy. Not one that I've played yet, but I do hope to. This one is cool. This is a limited run game. Oregon Trail. Kind of a twist on the classic adventure game with a little bit more of a spooky vibe to it. That one is on other platforms as well, on a lot of other platforms. One of the last games that Limited Run put out, this is Papers, Please. I've actually still never played this game, but I've been meaning to for a long time, and it probably will be the Vita version that I play. Yeah, this is a very... I mean, most people know what this game is at this point, but it's like an adventure game where you serve as a border agent, basically taking in papers from people coming in from other countries to this imaginary country, and you're having to make decisions about whether or not to let them in and sort of sussing out their motivations. NIS America game Penny Punching Princess. I remember this one seeming really cool when it first came out, but I have not checked that one out. Period Cube. More Otome visual novel goodness. You're eating good if you like Otome games. Oh, Persona 4 Golden. Who doesn't love Persona 4 Golden? Phenomenal game. This is not actually the version that I initially played. I've played a little bit of this one, but this is one that my wife played, and yeah, it just holds up super well. It's the type of game where I think most people that see their way through this one end up really developing an affection for it, because it's really interesting to see these different characters and kind of their journeys of growth and what they need to overcome and manage about their own struggles and things like that. Plus, I really like the gameplay on that one. I don't know if I like 3 or 4 more, but man, 4 is absolutely worth your time. Persona 4 Dancing All Night. I've said it before in the previous video, I'm a big rhythm game fan, and this one's pretty fun. It's one of those rhythm games where stuff is like in the center and moving to the outside, which sometimes makes it a little bit hard to see, but the difficulty's not too high on this one. It's very doable, especially if you're kind of a rhythm game savant, enthusiast, whatever the word is that I'm looking for there. And it has story that adds on to, it's kind of like an addendum to the Persona 4 storyline if you want some more time with those characters. Very fun game. We've got Phantom Breaker. This one I actually don't know too much about at all. I think it was a limited run game and I just kind of bought it on faith. I have to check that one out. That's one of the games I know the least about. Pix the Cat. This one's sealed, but I have played Pix the Cat. Very interesting. Like, it's like a arcade game, a little bit Pac-Man adjacent. You're like moving around these like single screen levels, grids, and you're like going in and out of levels. If you like the vibe of like Pac-Man Championship Edition DX, you'll probably like Pix the Cat. Very interesting. Need to dig a little deeper into that one. Plague Road. This is from the same individual that did Mecho Tales, so I haven't checked it out because I didn't love Mecho Tales so much. Proteus. This is a really interesting game. It's like, I think a lot of people would consider this barely a game. Like, it is a game, obviously, but it's more a digital experience. You are placed onto this island. The island is randomly and procedurally generated. It will always have certain, like, spots, certain events, certain locations, but it is procedurally generated, and it's just about the experience of like wandering around this island. You know, you'll move through grass and things will change color, and music will play, and there really is no incentive. There's nothing pushing you forward. You don't even know if you can beat this game. It's just kind of like an art experience. And despite that, I still beat it 3 times. Now, there's a trophy for beating it 3 times, but I actually enjoyed my time with this one. I'm a bit of a Proteus defender, even if it is a little bit weird and a little bit different from what most people are used to. Punchline. This is a visual novel. I think its claim to fame is that it has some pretty high-profile developers associated with it, and there's probably an anime too. I played through it, and you really have to be comfortable with kind of like a pervy vibe. You know, it's the type of game where the protagonist is a young teenage boy with all the enthusiasm that involves. It's actually played up for comedy, and you destroy the world if you get overly excited. The game itself, I thought, was enjoyable at some parts and had some real slow parts also. I ended up kind of coming out like in the 3 out of 5 sort of territory, but I know that this one is pretty well liked amongst visual novel communities, so you might like it a little more than I did. Psycho-Pass Mandatory Happiness. I have not played this one because I've heard that you should watch the show first, which friends of mine have told me that the show is quite good, so I will get around to it for sure. Rabby Ribby, like a 2D platformer action type game. This one, I think a couple friends of mine really enjoyed, but I haven't given it the time of day yet. Ragnarok Odyssey Ace. I wish I had played this back in the day. I did not. In a perfect world, I would have played this like when it was hot and online, good to go, but I missed out. Still cool to have, though, even if I kind of have regrets about that a little bit. Rainbow Moon. This is an RPG. This was on, I think, PS3's digital store. I've actually poked around at it a little bit. Really gorgeous looking game, very interesting, even if this cover itself is very uninspired. That was one of those games where, like, when it finally got a physical release, I was like, oh, cool, Rainbow Moon's getting a physical release. Race the Sun. I've talked about this in my trophy videos, but if you've never seen any of those, this is another procedurally generated, like randomized run sort of racing roguelike. You play as this plane vehicle, and it's solar powered, and you're racing towards the sun. The sun is going down, and you're trying to stay in sunlight to stay powered and get further and further, and you're weaving out of the way of obstacles and jumping off ramps and collecting power-ups and stuff like that. And then every day, on every 24-hour cycle, a new level is generated. So everyone's playing the same level every day, but it changes every 24 hours. I fought so hard to get the Platinum Trophy and get a respectable score in this. I was pushed to my limit, but I was able to successfully do it. And yeah, not an easy one. Fun game just to mess around with, though. Ray Gigant or Gigant, I'm not 100% sure. I played a bit of this one, and it didn't get its hooks into me. I don't think it's a bad game. I just think it was, right, maybe the wrong time for that type of game in my life. So I sort of put it on the back burner, and I was like, I'll revisit you when I feel like I'm in a better space. The Rayman games, don't know if this is the best way to play them, but both of these games are gorgeous, cool to have them on handheld, and they look good on the OLED screen, of course. They're very colorful, vibrant, unique. And so those games got ported to everything, so of course they also got ported to the Vita. Resistance Burning Skies, is this the last Resistance game that we got? It might have been. It's time to bring Resistance back, people. Yeah. Another one of those things where if you enjoy AAA gaming on your handheld, you could certainly do a lot worse than this. I thought this was pretty fun. I don't think that that's always everyone's opinion, but that's my opinion. Retro City Rampage DX, one of the more famous V-Blank, or one of the more famous, I guess, like self-published physical copies from V-Blank. V-Blank has put this game on everything. But yeah, it plays like the original 2 Grand Theft Autos, kind of like a top-down, open city, like crime chaos sim. Not bad. Chemco RPGs. This one is Revenant Dogma. Chemco will never let you down. And Revenant Saga. Thank you, Chemco. I think that brings our chem count up to like 8 or 9. Risk of Rain, really cool game. One of the earlier roguelikes that I got super into. 2D, out on crash landing on these various planets. and just trying to survive. Very difficult, tough. At least for me, tough. And I never got good at it the way I can get good at some roguelikes, so still tough to me to this day. Maybe Vita's not the ideal way to play it because it is pretty precise, but I thought it was pretty cool. Rock Boscher's Director's Cut. Honestly, don't know too much about that one. Rocket Bird's Hard-Boiled Chicken. There's like this weird obsession with like hardcore chickens. There's like the Rocket Birds games. There's that game that came out that's like a black and white noir detective game that has chicken. There's Chicken Police. Like, why do people think that birds and chickens need to be in all these serious roles? Salt and Sanctuary from Ska Studios. This has been on my to play list for so long. I've heard the Vita is a great way to play it. Yeah, one of the earlier games inspired by Dark Souls, like early indies inspired by Dark Souls. One of the first ones that come out that was really like, oh, they're doing the Souls thing. Seems like dark, moody, atmospheric, just fun. A Rose in the Twilight. This is one of the harder Vita games to come by, and it's pretty fun. It's a 2D puzzle platformer. You swap between this girl who can like absorb the color out of things, specifically the color red out of things, which you use to interact with the world and do puzzles and stuff. And this giant golem, and the golem can lift the girl up and move around and lift heavy things. And so you're like trying to find ways to navigate the environment, controlling the two of them. Pretty dang enjoyable. I played through it 2 years ago, I think, maybe a year ago. And I thought it was a good time. You know, sometimes the movement's a little slow, but it's enjoyable. There's also like speedrun times for each individual like quote unquote level. Like it's kind of open world, but it's open world split into levels in a way that makes sense if you play. And it's fun because you can try to optimize your speedrun times for those individual levels. And you need to do that for the platinum. And I thought it was really cool. Root Letter, another very popular visual novel that I have not played. And I don't know why this one was out of order, but here's another Rocket Birds game. This is Rocket Birds Evolution. All right, moving along. Another one of the earliest ones. This is the number 3 limited run game, Saturday Morning RPG. I think this is one developed by the actual staff of that company, and not one that I have checked out yet. It is, you know, it is what it says on the tin. It's a role-playing game that's very much heavily inspired by Saturday morning cartoons, you know, G.I. Joe's, Transformers, stuff like that. I don't think it has like the world's greatest reviews, but it'll be just a fun time. In the same lineage as Retro City Rampage, we have Shakedown Hawaii. Shakedown Hawaii is one that I have played, and I really enjoy this game. So Retro City Rampage is to Grand Theft Auto 3 as Shakedown Hawaii is to Vice City. So this is like a Hawaiian take on run around, blow stuff up, do crimes type of game. Still top-down, sort of 2D Grand Theft Auto style, but I really enjoyed this one. Nice environments. There's like a fun mechanic around investing in properties, similar to Vice City again. And yeah, this is the game. Of the two, that's the one that I definitely prefer. I really like that one. We have a couple Senran Kagura games for the culture. And then Sayonara Umihara Kawase ++. This is a really fun game. You play as this girl who is like swinging around using a grappling hook, and it's all about like the physics and momentum. This game is on a bunch of different systems. You know, it goes back to the Super Famicom, so it's a very popular franchise. I played this one, and there's one on the PSP that I played, and they're both pretty good. I don't think that's everyone's favorite one, but it's kind of if you like one Umihara Kawase game, you like them all. Shovel Knight on Vita. Cool that this got a physical release. I played it on other platforms, so I haven't opened this copy, but always good to have Shovel Knight. You know, classic retro-inspired indie. Very heavy. There's definitely a meaty instruction booklet in that. Silent Hill Book of Memories. This is one of the more recent additions to my collection. It was a gift from my wife. Very different from other Silent Hill games. It takes a lot longer, and it's a bit more of like a dungeon-y crawler kind of experience. Very weird, but I'm definitely going to check that one out one of these Octobers. Cyrillum? I actually don't know too much about this. I think it's an RPG, right? Yeah, it's an RPG, like maybe a little bit of a Phantasy Star bent. The cover does not show you the type of game that it is. Then we have Shiren the Wanderer, the Tower of Fortune, and the Dice of Fate. So this is very traditional, old, like turn-based dungeon crawler. You know, you move a step, enemies move a step, and it's tough. Really nice looking game, and there's like hundreds of hours of content if you're into that type of thing. I played it for a couple hours. I had fun. I got bodied. I'm not good at these kinds of games. I do really want to go back and give this one like an honest, fair shake, but it's just hard. It's a tough one. So I'll go back one day, and of all the Shiren the Wanderer games, I would either play that one or the Wii one probably. All right, moving along. Here's the sequel to Cyrilem. We have Cyrilem 2. You can see that my alphabetization was not ideal. We have Skullgirl's Second Encore, which has a slipcover on it. Very cool that this one got a physical release because it's a 2D fighter, you know. This is a really well-loved 2D fighter when it first came out. So if you're a fighting game fan, you're probably a fan. This is actually Skullgirl's Second Encore. And yeah, this is number 100 from Limited Run. So very, very cool to see. Skyforce Anniversary. I know that this is a shoot 'em up, and I think that it's got some like randomized or roguelike elements or something like that, but I have not checked it out yet. Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time. Cool to see this, of course, if you don't want to play the console release. But yeah, I have not played this because I'm working my way through Sly Cooper's in order. I'm a pretty recent Sly Cooper convert. I always knew I would like the series, but it wasn't until last year when I finally played my first one. And I really loved it. So now I'm saving them, right? It's like maybe one a year to make sure that I drip feed myself until they announce a new Sly Cooper someday in the 2030s. Soldner X2 Final Prototype. Pretty good scrolling shoot 'em up with a really good soundtrack. I've listened to the soundtrack more than I've played the game, actually. Sorcery Saga Curse of the Great Curry God. Not one that I put too much time into. I think I got this in like a buy two get one at GameStop, but it seems like it could be fun. You know, it's got that playful NAS Axis sense of humor. Stealth Inc., a really well-loved, like very intense kind of game, but I have not put too much time into it. I know that's kind of like stealth with a little bit of strategy involved if you're into strategy games. SteamWorld Dig, A Fistful of Dirt. I have only played SteamWorld Dig, and I had a really fun time with this one, actually. I've not played the other SteamWorld games like, for example, SteamWorld Heist. But SteamWorld Dig, another classic indie, you know, you digging down, trying to get gold and stuff so that you can buy upgrades to yourself so you can dig deeper. Really good, very satisfying loop. Nice, like, tight experience, you know, like 3-4 hours. Really had a lot of fun playing through that one. I actually played through that one just earlier this year for the first time. Steins Gate, an incredible visual novel. I love this game. Tells such an interesting story. I know that people are very skeptical of anything that involves like time travel mechanics, but I assure you, check this one out. You will not be disappointed. Really, really good. Steins Gate 0, this is the like prequel to that one. I only got halfway through this one and I got distracted, but I will definitely be going back to it someday. Stranger of Sword City, another gorgeous looking dungeon crawler type game. This one has just really excellent, very unique art, very fun, tough, and I didn't get too far into it, but enjoyable. Sumioni, this one's interesting because it's import only, and it's like a side-scrolling action game, but how you perform in certain levels or actions you take in certain levels will dictate if you are allowed to go to later levels. And so you could beat this game very, very quickly, but only see like 10% of the content because you got like the fast bad ending. But it's pretty fun. It's got a battle mechanic where you can draw on the screen, very much like Okami, to do special attacks. So, and it's entirely playable without knowing English. So if you have not looked into that one, it's pretty affordable import and pretty good. Summon Night 6 Lost Borders by Gaijin Works. I actually have the big Wonderful edition. It's buried and I didn't pull it out, but I was really excited. I was waiting to get this one for a long, long time. I've played a few Summon Night games. I've never like sat down and really focused on a Summon Night game, if that makes sense. Like I need to at some point sit down and be like, this is the main game I'm playing and not I'm poking at this for 2 hours. Super Hydora, another pretty good scrolling shoot 'em up on Vita. Vita is surprisingly competent for scrolling shoot 'em ups, even if a lot of them did come from limited run. Super Monkey Ball Banana Splits. This is a really good Monkey Ball game. A lot of people say Monkey Ball died after the second one, like the first two are the only good ones, but I would say that this is the third best Monkey Ball game. It's not perfect, and some of the controls can be a little stiff, and it's hard. I've never been able to beat it. But it's a really enjoyable time, and I think it's being slept on a little bit. So if you have a Vita, please check out. This is one of my top recommendations for people, just because I think it is underloved. Shantae Half Genie Hero. This is my first Shantae game that I ever played. I really like this game in particular. I can't say if the other Shantae games are the same. I assume that they're pretty similar because the franchise seems to be pretty well loved. But if you want just like a good cartoony, fun, side-scrolling, light-gated exploration, like revisiting levels with power-ups and transformations will let you unlock more power-ups. This is a great time. Feels to me a lot like a Sega game, like a Monster World game or an Alex Kidd game or something like that. It has something about it has a little bit of Sega energy in my mind. We have Super Meat Boy. This is one that actually has the trading card with it. I usually don't keep the trading cards, but Super Meat Boy is one of my favorite games ever made, and so I obviously have to get it. The Vita version is not the way to play this game, but I will get any version of Super Meat Boy that I can get my hands on. Got the Swindle. I don't actually know too much about this. Again, Curve Digital had a deal with Limited Run where pretty much all their games came out on that. The Swapper. I don't know why I lost my voice when I said that. It swapped out of my body. Swapper is a really fun puzzle platformer. The idea is that you're swapping bodies out with like clones of yourself, or not clones. You're just swapping position, yeah, and with different versions of your own body. And so very dark, kind of like sci-fi, almost light horror atmosphere to it. It is really unique, very fun, plays really well on Vita. So I do recommend that one as well. This is a very recent, I think this is probably the newest Vita game I've added. A friend of mine bought it for me. We have a Taiko no Tatsujin game. I don't even know exactly which one this is. Something V, probably Rhythm Festival V. I'm making that up, but it's a very reasonable idea that that's what a Taiko no Tatsujin game would be called. Tales of Hearts R. This is the handheld exclusive Tales game that came out. I haven't played this one. I believe that my wife played a bit of it, and she seemed to enjoy it. Tearaway, high recommendation here. Love this game. Media Molecule knocked it out of the park. So much fun to explore. Take such fun and creative uses of the Vita, like the camera and the touchscreen and all that stuff. It's kind of like the ideal Vita demonstration. A good balance of like tech demo meets fun game. So this is a bit like Gravity Rush, where this game got ported to PS4, but if you can, I think that the Vita version is the definitive version to play. We've got Terraria. I'm not super into this game, but it was pretty cheap physically, and I thought maybe someday I'll give it another shot. We have Tetris Ultimate. Always good to have any handheld version of Tetris you can get your hands on. We have Thomas Was Alone. Thomas Was Alone, another classic puzzle platformer. Very short and sweet, but and at this point maybe a little bit basic, but at the time it was pretty revolutionary, pretty interesting. This is the type of game that it's interesting because it was successful in its time, but I don't think would be successful now. It was right game, right time, right place. But yeah, really still very good. You know, it's got a narrator that's kind of explaining the story of these little Tetronimo type shapes that navigate around the world. They all have ever so slightly different abilities and things like that, and personalities. You kind of develop an affection for these little shapes. So this is really cool. And this mode, I don't know if all versions of the game have it, but this copy has a developer commentary. So you can play the game with Mike Bethel telling you about the game, which was a lot of fun to get some insights into like level design and stuff like that. Tokyo Tattoo Girls, that one got purchased for my wife and I have not played. Tokyo Twilight Ghost Hunters. Another one that I have not checked out. I don't know too much about this one. I kind of bought it on faith because Axis tends to put out good stuff. Touch My Katamari, a bit like the Monkey Ball game. I think this is a pretty dang good Katamari game, and people don't talk about this one too much, but Yeah, controls are a little weird. You definitely got to get used to them because there's like some touchscreen stuff going on, but it's just more good classic Katamari. It's hard to argue with that, right? We've got Tokiden Kiwami here, another kind of early release on Vita that I did not check out too much. Trillion God of Destruction. Can only assume that this game is having fun in the Disgaea style of big numbers. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Obviously, MVC is a very fun fighting franchise. Cool that this got a Vita release, right? Like, I don't know that a lot of people are going to definitively play the Vita version, but that's just awesome. Also, a good number of fighters on the Vita. When people say Vita doesn't have games, I don't know what they're talking about. But they usually mention this as one of the few games Vita does have. Uncharted Golden Abyss. Is it a step down from other Uncharteds? Sure, but it is still like all the Uncharted action you'd want. And it's nice because the levels are a little shorter to match the pace of playing on a handheld. So in some ways, it's actually better depending on what your life situation is like. But you're going to have to, scrape some rust off objects and stuff like that. They wanted to use the touchscreen, but it is a great Uncharted experience and one that is definitely worth playing. Undertale. This is on Vita and everything else. Classic game. I don't think it really needs too much explanation, but it is cool that it got a physical release. We're getting down towards the end here. Unit 13. I have some friends that say that this one is quite good, but I have not checked it out. So let me know if I should check out Unit 13. We have Utawara Namamono, Mask of Deception, and I thought there was a second one, but I guess not. Mask of Deception. Maybe I don't own the second one. Yeah, these games are somewhat hard to track down, and I know somewhat little about them. Valhalla. A friend of mine has been telling me to play this game forever. So if you are into, there's like this, and then there's, what's the name of that game called? Coffee Talk. There's this like drink making adventure novel type subgenre, and this one is one that a lot of people say is great. Valkyrie Drive, not one that I've checked out. Velocity 2X, I've almost played this game so many times. Buddy of mine loves this game. It's kind of like a fast-paced sort of arcadey kind of like racy action game. Kind of hard to describe, but it's a type of game where you're going to fail a lot and then eventually get that one good successful run on a level. Very fast-paced, kind of time trial-y. It's so cool. I just have not dug in a way that I should. Volume. This is the follow-up from Mike Bithell, and I've heard this game is good, kind of like the sleeper gem in his collection or in his library, but I have not checked it out. Basara Collection. That's a collection of scrolling shoot-em-ups. Windjammers, going back to the SNK days, Neo Geo classic competitive sports battle game. World of Final Fantasy, interesting game. Final Fantasy meets Pokemon a little bit, or maybe Final Fantasy meets Digimon. It's got this like chibi art style that's not going to be to everybody's taste. I don't think the Vita version is the way to go. I remember playing this one for like 4 or 5 hours, and it was choppy. It was rough to get through. So maybe the console port of that one's a little bit better. X-Blaze, visual novel. And X-Blaze Lost Memories. Then we got Project Xenon Valkyrie. So this is like a 2D run-and-gun roguelike type game. Very catchy music in this one. Like, I definitely recommend checking out the music here. And it's tough. It's got some bugs that are a little bit unfortunate with the way that I won't get into it, but there's bugs that can impact your progress in a negative way, unfortunately. But if you aren't hit with them, or if you patch the game, it's a lot better. You don't have as many performance issues and things like that. But yeah, very, very fun time. Just like good pick up and play arcadey run and gun action. If you like stuff like Risk of Rain, or you want a little like Contra action maybe, but more level based, like more verticality than Contra. Zeo Drifter. I've played this game a couple of times. Just a really fun, tight experience of a gated exploration. So it's only going to take you a couple hours to get through. It's from the same developer that did the Mutant Mudds games from last video. And yeah, if you just want like a cute, kind of straightforward Metroidvania, you'll have a good time. All right, last stack here. First up, we have Yomawari Night Alone. And this is actually both that and HTOL-NIQ, which I have the standalone version of. But Yomawari Night Alone is kind of this like top-down horror adventure game. There's this girl wandering around a city, and you'll just see like random horror events and things occurring in the city as you wander around. And it plays kind of like a survival horror game, right, where you're going to find items and have to bring them to other places and stuff like that. Really very interesting and very cool. I played through this one last year, and I really enjoyed it. So I definitely recommend folks check it out. Then we have a couple of Ys games, Origin and Celceta. I have only ever played Ys Book 1. So that's one of the series that I'm furthest behind on and really want to get back to. And then basically last we have Zero Time Dilemma, the finale to the Zero Escape trilogy. And I think a lot of people's least favorite game, but I thought it was a fine enough conclusion to the story. Yeah, I enjoyed the whole ride. This, VLR, and Zero Time Dilemma. I like all three of them. You didn't see Virtue's Last Reward here because I have VLR on... I have that on 3DS. I forget, but I have played through Virtue's Last Reward. It just didn't show up in that stack. And that is it. The last one I just have is the collectible coin that Limited Run sent out. I don't know why I kept that, but I did. And there you have it. That, plus the hour I talked about in the previous video, is my entire PlayStation Vita collection. So hopefully you enjoyed the talk through it. I'd love to know what your favorite Vita games are, and if there's anything I didn't mention that I should add to my library, let me know. I'm always open to Vita stuff. I mean, I'll pretty much pick up anything for the Vita at this point. So appreciate you watching. Till next time. Peace.